Ever wonder about sheens? What's the difference? Is there a sheen etiquette? Am I supposed to use different sheens in different rooms? Well, good news is it's not that complicated, and by the end of this, you're going to know everything you need to know about paint sheens. Hey everyone, Mike here with Prosperity Painting Consultants, and today I'm going to be going over paint sheens. If you find the information in this video useful, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. That way we can continue to create more helpful content for you. What is sheen? Sheen is the amount of light that's reflected from a painted surface at an angle of 85 degrees. Unlike gloss, which is light reflected at an angle of 60 degrees. In simple terms, sheen is just the amount of luster or light reflected from a painted surface. A high sheen surface would reflect more light, like a mirror, and a low sheen surface would reflect less light, like a piece of fabric. The official unit of measurement for gloss is called a gloss unit, and it's measured with a Glossmeter. A Glossmeter is pretty simple. It really just shines light at an 85-degree angle and measures how much light is received on the other end. It's science! Sheen is adjusted in paint by altering the adhesive binder to powdery pigment ratio. More adhesive binder results in higher sheen, and more powdery pigment results in lower sheen. These illustrations really help me to understand how the binder to powdery pigment ratio impacts sheen. As you can see here, all incoming light is coming in at the same angle. In order to calculate sheen, the reflected light would need to create an 85-degree angle. But when more powdery pigments are exposed to the surface, we can see that light reflects a lot of different angles. As you increase the binder ratio, the surface becomes smoother and light reflects at a more uniform angle, resulting in higher sheen. Paint sheen terms. Great! Now that you understand the fundamentals of sheen, it's time to start looking at some of the terms that you're going to be coming across when you start shopping for different paints. Unfortunately, there isn't an easily accessible standardized list of terms when it comes to sheen. There is actually an international standard, ISO 1283-2014, that goes over the standardized definitions with regards to paint sheens, but it costs $150 and companies use their own terms. So there might not be as much value in buying the international standards. The fact that businesses just use their own standards makes things kind of confusing when you're trying to compare across brands. If you're really serious about comparing sheens between different companies, buy a Glossmeter. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. I'm going to go over some common terms that you'll see with regards to sheen in the paint industry. At the bottom is flat. That reflects under 5% of all light that reaches its surface. Then we have matte or velvet, which reflects between 5 and 9% of light. Then there's eggshell, which reflects between 10 and 15%, low sheen between 20 and 25%, satin between 26 and 40%, semi-gloss between 41 and 60%, gloss between 61 and 80%, and high gloss, which is anything over 80% reflectivity. If you take a look at this chart, you can see what some of the terms used by the big brands are. As you can see, everyone starts off with flat, and then matte, and then things start to get a bit different. We have low gloss for Sherwin-Williams, and eggshell for Benjamin Moore. They'll roughly be represented by the same value of light reflectivity, but it can be good to look at an example before you start purchasing. Is there a practical usage between different sheens? Yes, there certainly is. Lower sheens reflect less light, which makes them better at hiding imperfections that you're painting over. So if you're not the best painter and you're trying to save some money by doing it yourself, and you're trying to paint a room that already has some nicks and dents in the walls, then go with a low gloss paint, like a matte or flat finish. Maybe you're trying to refresh the walls in your garage on a budget. That's another great example for using a flat or matte finish. The downside to the low gloss finishes is that they're difficult to clean. If you think about my previous example of metal as a high sheen object and fabric as a low sheen object, the high sheen object is much easier to clean because it reflects. It's glossy, it's smooth. The low sheen objects are a lot harder to clean, like fabric, because they absorb light the same way they absorb dirt and grime and grit. So if you got a lot of kids or pets, or if you're just dirty, then maybe going with the low gloss finish isn't the smartest idea. That being said, a lot of the newer paints nowadays are actually advertised as being easy to clean. So it's likely that as time goes on and paint technology improves, a lot of the lower sheen paints will become better and better with regards to cleanability. Then it's really an aesthetic preference over a functional decision. High sheens, on the other hand, tend to highlight all of the imperfections on the wall or surface that you're painting. That's because a smooth surface will reflect light in a single direction. A rough surface will reflect light in multiple directions, highlighting all of the imperfections. The plus side is that these sheens are relatively easy to clean, so they're great for active households with kids and pets. So what parts of the house do we normally see certain types of sheens? Starting with the low sheens, the flats, and the mattes, almost all ceilings are painted with flats. It's also common in living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms. Medium sheens, like satin and pearl, you'll see in some of the same areas that you see low gloss, maybe in houses with kids or slobbery pets. You'll also see it start to show up in some of the higher traffic areas, like hallways. Semi-gloss to high gloss are great for mudrooms, kids' playrooms, hallways, bathrooms, kitchens, anywhere that you know you're going to be doing a lot of cleaning. They also show up in a lot of trim or cabinet. Ultimately, the choice is up to you. There is no hard rule that says you need to paint this sheen in this room. You can take into consideration ease of clean and how light reflectivity will highlight imperfections in the surfaces that you're painting. The last thing that you really should be thinking about is that it's virtually impossible to do touch-up work on high gloss paint. Reason being is because of flashing or lap marks. Flashing is when you can see the difference in sheens on a single surface. There's a number of reasons that can result in flashing, including poor drywall installation, use of different sheens, or improper application of a high gloss paint. If you cut in the ceilings after you roll a wall, you're going to get flashing along that line. If you cut in the ceilings first and then roll out the walls, you're not going to get flashing. This will also happen if you try and touch up surfaces with a high gloss paint. If the paints don't dry at the same time, you're going to see a difference in the first, second, third, and any subsequent application. And that's going to result in an uneven looking finish. Let's talk about exterior paints. Exterior paints are almost always satin, flat, or eggshell. These no to low sheen paints are ideal for exterior surfaces because they cover imperfections, which are a lot more common on exterior than interior surfaces, and they're a lot easier to apply without getting flashing. Like I just talked about with the interior section, it's important to keep a wet edge when you're painting with a high sheen paint. It's a lot harder to pull off outside. By the time you spray one line and get down to the bottom, move your ladder over, and then get back up to the top of your ladder and start spraying the next line, your previous line will have dried already, which means you're putting a wet line of paint over a dry line. When using higher sheens of paint, this form of flashing is called striping or lapping, which results in, you guessed it, stripes showing up on the side of your house. It is possible to get the right conditions where you don't have too much sun, you don't have too much wind, it's not too cold, it's not too hot, the stars align, and you're able to paint the exterior of your house using a high gloss paint. But if you're looking to hire a painting contractor to do the exterior of your house, painting companies simply aren't able to accommodate that kind of weather condition for the majority of their clients. Another reason that these tend to be common sheens for exterior painting is that a lot of HOAs have regulations and require their residents to use no to low luster sheens. There are some surfaces that are rough, like brick or stucco, which almost exclusively get no luster paints. And that's because, like I mentioned before, these rough surfaces highlight all the imperfections when you use a high gloss paint, and it really doesn't look good. In fact, a lot of the products made for painting stucco and brick only come in flat. If you're looking to buy some paint for various parts of your house, you may end up having to do some shopping around. Let's say, for example, you're a big fan of Benjamin Moore's Ben, and you'd like to paint your whole house with that. You're looking for satin and eggshell. Great, you find that. But unfortunately, that flat finish you were looking for from Ben was recently discontinued. Fortunately, Benjamin Moore has a line of paint for ceilings that's exclusively produced in flat. So you'll be able to find all the paint sheens that you're looking for within a manufacturer, but maybe not that specific brand of paint. And that just about covers everything there is to know about sheens. Thanks a lot for watching today. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Have a great one.